Hi friends, welcome back. Welcome back to my dining room. My name is Barb. This is Flosstube number 35. Today is June 25th. It's a Thursday and it is a rainy day here in Western New York. And that's okay because yesterday when I was in my gardens, they were screaming at me because they needed some water, and I knew that it was going to rain today. So it's not a real heavy downpour, but it is a nice steady rain, and I'm sure everything is loving the fresh rain that it's getting. So listen, I have a lot going on today. I have a lot to talk to you about. I'm also going to start a WIP parade. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as I move through. I'm really trying to stick to my notes because you know me, sometimes I go off on a tangent and it's tough to rein myself back in. So I am so excited. I checked my numbers. I am up to 222 subscribers. And if you are in my era, you remember the TV show Room 222. I'm not going into that, but that's what it made me think of. So welcome. Welcome to all of you. Welcome to my new subscribers. Welcome to my friends that I have seen and chatted with these past almost 2 years now. And I'm just super excited that you're here with me. I would really, really enjoy it if you would like my video, if you would subscribe, if you would tell your friends. I'm trying to make more of a presence on Instagram, and I do post my, update with my video so people can come and watch. I've also friended a lot more people on Instagram. I know this sounds silly, but I'm really kind of a shy, introverted person, and I get a little uncomfortable putting myself out there. But I'm really trying to build my community. I see so many floss tubers, and I do have a list of people that I'm going to talk to you about. So many of them who are just embracing our community and becoming friends with everybody. And I want that for myself. I don't have too many stitchy friends here in my area. I do have a few. I do not really get together with anybody to stitch. So for me to have a group of you that comment on my videos or comment on my Instagram posts, it makes me feel like we're stitching together. I do have a text group of friends that I made when I went to the Hobby House Needleworks. Oh gosh, it's coming up on a year now when I went to the fall one for Needlework Press with Vicki Jeanette. And we still text. We are trying to make plans to either get together again as a small group or figure out how to Zoom where we can all sit together. We are in different areas of the United States, and I think it would be lovely to see these ladies again, other than just texting. We had a really good time, and I'm so happy that we still check in with each other and send each other pictures as to what we're doing and what we finished, and we've got a great group. So I encourage you, if you're like me and a little bit introverted and you don't feel like you just feel awkward about putting yourself out there, don't, because I have not met a stitcher who isn't responsive and supportive of another stitcher, men and women. There are some men stitchers out there. And I'll tell you, Andrew the running stitcher is one of the ones, one of the people that I follow. And he's just, the pieces that he works on, not things that I would choose, but holy cow. So, if you get an opportunity to go check him out, I know a lot of people do follow him. He's got some great stitching. He also has another YouTube channel where he does walks in New York City, and I love New York City. My daughter is down on Long Island, and I've been to the city numerous times. Central Park is one of my most favorite places. I did run a race there a long time ago. We're not going to get into that, but he's got some great walking tours of the city. So let me talk to you about the people that I have watched. Now, I neglected to mention some of these people on my last Flosstube, so I'm going all the way back to June 12th, because I've been trying to log in my book, in my Stitchy book, who I've been watching, because I do have some new people here. So, I've watched Attic Needlework, Adelaide Stitches, Stitching with T, or Stitching and T with B. I love her. I just love her. Coriander Quilts, because quilting. This stitchy mess named Jess is a first-time floss tuber. Homemade on the Ridge with Maggie. She was new to me. Five Oaks Farms with Rachel. She was also new to me. Nicole's Needlework. And SpectrumFarmsNeedleworks with Ruth. She was also new to me. Now, I'm going to put links to all of their floss tubes in the drop-down box below, and I hope I do get it correctly. You know what? I don't know if you're aware of this, but in your history on YouTube, you're able to go back and see who you've watched. And that's very helpful to me, because I do try, like I said, when I'm sitting there stitching and watching Flosstube, I do try to write it down right away. And if it is somebody that is new to me or new on Flosstube, I do like to try to make those notes so I can share that information with you. Now, Sew Me Sarah has a lovely way to address this with everybody. You might not resonate with a particular stitcher, and that's okay. There are so many floss tubers out there that I am sure you'll be able to find somebody. I know my floss tubes are very long. I do try to keep them under an hour, but I have so much I want to share that I just can't do it. Now, I did see that Marcy from Amnicon Studio posted something today, and she said something about a birthday sale, and I literally started watching it this morning, and I said, nope, it's over an hour. Marcy, I am going to go back and finish watching when I get done here. I'm going to grab my stitching, which I'm also going to talk about, and see what she's got up her sleeve for her birthday sale. Now, I generally don't do sales. To me, they're more like a start along. And I know there's a lot of people that say that, but I'm really intrigued to see what Marcy has, because if it's something that I have in my stash, or just an idea of something to pull and stitch, I'm going to jump in on that. But that'll be in my next floss tube. And honestly, I'm going to mark that down in my book here, Amnicon, just so that I can link her below. All right, so let's get into this. Now, I do want to come back and chat with you. Remember I talked about that estate sale that I went to? I received a lovely email from a new follower, and also somebody that lives in my area. And she filled me in a little bit more on this estate sale. Now, when I go to an estate sale, my first impression is that, unfortunately, it's a deceased person. Well, our friend is not. She is alive and well. So I'm happy for that. I actually got the goosebumps thinking about that. She is alive and well. But paring down what she had. And I'm still very, very pleased that I attended that estate sale, and I really was going to go back, and part of me wanted to, but I knew I would have just grabbed stuff because I want to give it a good home. And part of me also said, there are other stitchers, don't be greedy. Listen, I'm an only child. I don't know how to share, so sometimes it becomes really hard. But I took all of the pieces that I purchased, and I'm going to pause and I'm going to show you. I don't I don't want to move the display, so I'm going to move the camera. So here's my display. Now, it was brought to my attention that the housewife right there, that needlework that I showed the last time, the little folded needlework for, for your needles, obviously. It was a class. It was a class that she taught. And some of the ladies decided to do it in a larger count. She did it in a very small count. Also, the picture that I purchased, I hung right there, and I did post or write on the back of it where I purchased it. But these are the items, aside from the pillow that I made, and then my little Singer, I'm trying to point, it's really odd, my little Singer information booklet that I picked up at another antique sale. But these are all of the majority of the pieces that I purchased at the estate sale. Now, if you remember, I also had the shaker box, and there's a couple of other hoops that I put in another display bowl, which is actually in my sunroom. The shaker box is also in my sunroom. I didn't want to put anything in it because you can't see it, and I don't want to leave it open because I suspect my cat might lay in it. She probably would fit. So that's in my sunroom as well. So just to pass along that information, our Stitchy sister is alive and well, and the estate sale was mostly just to I would say pare down what was there and provide other stitchers just a little piece of what her cross stitch shop used to have. I'm still very honored. I did see she also had a lot of quilting fabric there, and I did see it, and I just tried to block that out because I really have enough quilting fabric. Well, there's never enough. As a matter of fact, I do have something that I purchased, and I'll show that at the end. But I was mostly interested in the cross stitch. I was just, again, tickled silly to be able to have some of those beautiful things. And to anybody that is watching that did go to that lovely estate sale, I hope you enjoy her items as well. And again, thank you for passing along the information about our Stitchy sister. So let me move forward. One of the things that this is not related, it's somewhat related. I want to learn how to edit my videos. I don't know how. I record on my phone. I don't think I can record on my laptop because I did try that and it shuts off after 30 minutes. I don't know if I can record on my tablet. I have not tried that. I don't know if there's a time limit on that. But for those of you that are floss tubers and you edit, how? How do you do it? What do you do? Because every time I post a video, I'm like, I made a mistake in that. I said something incorrectly. And if I don't write it down to correct that mistake, it's out there in YouTube world. So if anybody has any ideas as to how to edit videos, please send me an email. I will put my email address in the drop-down box. And I would love to know what to do because sometimes. Anyway, let's get into this. I'm going to show you my fully finished objects. Now, one of the things that I have been doing this year, every month I'm doing a small. And most of the smalls have been through Primrose Cottage with the free chart that they send out every month. And I have showed those in the past. And they're really cute, but I am finding that there is not a lot of stitching, a lot of color change. Let me clarify that. A lot of color change. So something that, should only take maybe a couple of days or 3 days of stitching. For me, it's taking longer because I'm trying to figure out what colors. As I said when I started my smalls journey for this year, everything that I stitch on a small, I'm grabbing from stash. All of my fabrics, all of my flosses, I'm trying to use from stash. All of my flosses are those leftover pieces of DMC that I've had from a kit from probably the 1980s. So I am trying to pare that down, and it's working fine so far. So one of my finishes and then fully finishes is the Sweetly Saying 4th of July. I'm trying to grab it here, from Primrose Cottage. Now I took liberty, because as a stitcher we can, and I just used all different colors, all different reds, whites, and blues, and beiges, creams, or whatever, for this piece, and golds. Now this little hangy piece I got from my Brenda Gervais retreat from a lovely stitchy friend, so I thought I would put it there. I just literally turned this into a pillow. This fabric, if you remember, I had started that Kim Deal piece, Easily Distracted, and I used this fabric, and I was not having it. This is a 10 count fabric. It's very loosely woven, and I was using Valdani threads on it, and it just wasn't working, and I said I can't do it. So I took this fabric. You can see how woven it is, how open it is. And I thought, you know what, this is going to make a great pillow. It almost reminds me of burlap, but clearly it's not. It's not as stiff as burlap. So what I just did was I took all of the fabric and used it for the backing. Oops, almost dropped it. And then I just took 6 strands, 2 reds, 2 whites, 2 blues, and I literally just stitched it together. I did a running stitch from one end to the other, left a little bit of a fray at the end, came around, did the same, came around, did the same. On the inside, I made a little pillow. I made, just took some blue fabric because I wanted it to be dark. And I made a little pillow. I stuffed it with fiberfill and some lizard litter. So there's a little bit of heaviness to this, but not a lot. And I've been doing that with a lot of the finishes, I think all of the smalls that I have made this year. I'd have to actually technically look, but the majority of them, if I've turned them into a pillow, I've done that. I've put fiberfill and some lizard litter in it. And I literally will just pull that fiberfill apart and just start dumping lizard litter in there and just moving it around with my fingers. So this is my Sweetly Saying 4th of July. And I think, and this is why I need to edit, because I think I was calling it Simply Saying, but I'm pretty sure it's Sweetly Saying. It's either Sweetly or Simply. It's the free pattern from Primrose, and I do apologize, but I will get it right in the show notes. So this is done, and I do have it in a little dish with a piece that I was gifted about a year or two ago in a swap. So that piece is done. I believe I showed this to you the last time. This was my June entry for summer camp from Colorado Cross Stitcher. It's called No Garden, and it was in the Punch Needle Primitive Summer issue of 2025, and it was done by the Nebby Needle. I'm pretty sure I showed this the last video, but I'm just going to show it again. I made a pillow, clearly, and I did the same thing. There is some lizard litter in here along with the fiberfill, and it's not making it heavy. It's just giving it a little bit of substance so that when it sits in my back hall on the little stool that I have, you know, it's really not rocking. So those were my 2 fully finishes. Now, what have I been working on? Well, here's the deal. I was working on the 4th of July small, and I really got to the point where I was just like, oh, I want to get this done. I just want to get this done. And I believe part of it came from the fact that I was trying to pull different colors to make it colorful, and I was getting stuck. Not bored, but just stuck, because I didn't want to have too many colors touching, and but I wanted to finish it. And so really the only other piece that I worked on is, or was, goodness sakes, where is she? Where did I put her? Oh my God, she's literally right in front of me. I just got to stick the charger back into my phone. I do have a piece that I take when I babysit. I babysit 2 of my grandchildren on Tuesdays, and then there are, this past summer, I haven't really had to babysit my other granddaughter because the work schedules have been okay for my daughter-in-law. So on Tuesdays, what I have been taking is something that I can work, that's worked on Ada. It's just easier. I feel that if I take something that is done on linen, it's just a little bit more difficult. And, you know, when my granddaughter takes her little bit of a nap, I get a little stitching done. Now that school is over, I'll have both of the kids all day. So that'll be, you know, going outside and making cookies and stuff like that. So I like to do little things with the kids just to keep them occupied. They do have time that they can sit and watch TV, but they also have to read books and earn time to play on their tablets, which when my kids were little and they had PlayStation and all that other stuff, they were given a time limit of 30 minutes. If they were good, the time was extended, or sometimes they were just so quiet, I would just quietly go back into the kitchen and reset the timer on the stove. So their 30 minutes was a little bit extended, especially in the winter months when, you know, in that break time. But anyway, so Signpost Stitcher is my Tuesday stitch for babysitting. This is by the Colorado Cross Stitcher. Now, I did do her other piece in this series. I'm going to pull the pattern out. I think I have it in here. I thought I had it in here. Right now, I'm just looking at the... Here we go. I have it on the chair here. So this is the pattern. And I did do the small piece and I finished this a couple years ago. So this is the little companion piece, creating works of the heart, one stitch at a time. And again, a little pillow. This one has some polyfill in it, but it has more lizard litter in it, so that it went down into the corners. And that's something that I really need to figure out better. I do generally, on something like this, I will put some quilt batting behind my piece, just because if I'm using lizard litter, I don't want it popping out of the holes. So I will back this with some iron-on poly or quilt batting. So I think that putting more lizard litter into the corners makes the corners a little bit more strong, and that they're not caving in. But I'm noticing on some of my other pieces, like this one, see how the corner is caving in? So I think I'm going to have to really pay attention to that and put more of the lizard litter into the corners before I start popping in the polyfill. But anyway, this is the companion piece. And I just finished it with, I did do the slit across the back and then do the ladder stitch to close it. And I just put a button on the back of it. So she sits here in my little dough bowl. But again, this is Signpost Stitcher by the Colorado Cross Stitcher. And I believe, where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? I am using the called for classic colorwork threads. And this is an 18 count Ada. Let me just double check here because I probably wrote it on my paperwork. This is something else I do. I do work from a paper copy. I always make a copy and work from a paper copy because I like to mark off where I've worked. And I also put notes on here, like where I've made mistakes. Like, you know, I made a mistake here. I'm going to have to adjust here. I made a mistake here. So it's just a lot, just a lot easier for me. I do not see where I marked what my fabric is, but I can tell you from my book, Caramel Macchiato by Fiber on a Whim, it is 18 count. Now, I started this in July of 2025, so it's coming up on a year. Shame on me. But anyway, this will be my Tuesday stitch. So when I do babysit, you know, as I said, I generally maybe get 1, maybe 2 threads in during my babysitting time. But then when I come home on Tuesday nights, that also becomes my Tuesday night stitch. So I do try to put 2 to 3 threads in this on a Tuesday. Okay, so that is literally the only thing that I have been stitching other than that 4th of July piece. So I'm going to start here and talk to you. I'm just looking through my book here, what's been going on since I last chatted with you. We've had an anniversary, my daughter-in-law's birthday, my daughter's birthday was just this week. It's been, June is pretty exciting, and ending of school with the grandkids, everybody's moving forward in their grades. My gardens, oh my gosh, let me tell you about this. I know I have it at the end, but now that I said it, I have to tell you this. I thank everybody very much for those of you that watched my little garden tour. And again, it was Marcy from Amnicon Studio that encouraged me because she did one. And I was like, oh, I want to do one. So I have a lot of weeds in my garden. I have a lot of gardens. And I'm okay with, you know what? No garden, hang on. No garden is without weeds, right? So I was at work on Monday night and I received a message from my neighbor. Now he is a professional nature and wildlife photographer, and some of his things are just amazing. I will put his name in the drop-down box. I don't want to mention it here, but I will put his name in the drop-down box. He is on Facebook and you can go and follow him. He sent me a message and he said, your flowers are just so beautiful. I had to take pictures. I said, what? So he sent me a couple of the pictures. And again, I got the goosebumps thinking about this. He sent me a couple of pictures of my flowers. And I'm going to tell you this. I am not a professional gardener. I grew up with gardens. When I was very young, 4, 5 years old, had a little tickle there. My mother had to work. My parents were divorced. My mother had to work, and I was babysat by one of my grandmother's friends who owned a flower shop. If you were around Buffalo in the 1960s and you knew Ray and Florence from the Genesee Floral Shop, that's where I was every day. I remember walking into the cooler and smelling the roses. I remember wrapping baskets and putting them up on the risers for Easter and Mother's Day, the lilies, the flowers. I was in a flower shop Monday through Friday. Their greenhouse was above their garage. I remember climbing the ladder and sticking my nose up in the air and smelling the snapdragons. So I was in a greenhouse daily and a flower shop daily. As I got older and we moved to an apartment where my grandmother was able to move in with us, I didn't have to go to the babysitters because clearly my grandmother was there. But my landlady instilled in me the love of flowers. Now, again, I'm 7, 8 years old, walking into a yard along the whole side of my house, or her home, I should say, was portulaca. From the front to the back was just all portulaca. This side of the house, or this side of the driveway or yard, was all hosta. Then you get into the backyard proper. And what did she have? Rose bushes. Down one side, across the back, and up the other side. Now, as a child of 7, 8, 9 years old, seeing all of those roses equated to me a botanical garden. I was allowed to go and help. The portulaca, I was able to go and pop when the seed pods opened, and I was able to sprinkle the seeds. I was able to walk through the gardens. I was raised like that. As we moved from and that was on the east side of Buffalo. When we moved from the east side of Buffalo to South Buffalo, my mother started gardening. And we had flowers, and we had a vegetable garden. When I first married, gardens. When I moved here to West Seneca, gardens. I am not a professional. I just know what I like. Roses, portulaca, snapdragons, petunias, right? So when my neighbor sent me that message, and he sent me a couple of pictures, I did post them. Now I can't remember if I posted them on Instagram. I did post them on my personal Facebook page and in a couple of garden groups that I belong to. There's nothing better compliment than having a professional photographer say your flowers are beautiful. So my question, when is Better Homes and Garden calling, and will I be on the cover? Kidding. Totally kidding. But we do have our South Buffalo Garden Walk coming up this weekend. If you have been in our area and you have been to the Botanical Gardens, they also have the butterfly show going right now. I believe it's still going. I should verify. But there is a garden art show coming up at the Botanical Gardens this weekend, and I attend that every year. And it's all garden related items, outdoor things like that. I have purchased some beautiful pieces, some stained glass items, some different decorative items that go in the gardens. And the South Buffalo Garden Walk. Now, I do know that the maps for the South Buffalo Garden Walk will be available at the Botanical Gardens at the garden art display on Saturday and Sunday, and also Sunday at the Dog Ears Bookstore, which is on Abbott Road in South Buffalo. And please support local, because I do know the owner of that store. His mom lives next door. Anyway, sorry to get off on the tangent about the gardens, but that is very important to me. If you are a gardener, or you know somebody, or you participate in garden walks, they're wonderful. I'm sure if they are in your area, you can Google garden walks in my area and see what pops up. We have a lot of them coming up. We have the South Buffalo one. We have the Buffalo one in July. There's a Hamburg one. So if that is something that you enjoy, please look into it. You'll probably get a lot of ideas. Anyway, okay. Now now I'm going to start my WIP parade. So here's the thing. Coffee first. I'm a little disappointed in myself because I really haven't touched a lot of my WIPs. I have been working on other things. And as I said, a lot of what I was doing was the monthly smalls. Now, I have been using that picker wheel, and I do like that. I do like the fact that, I can spin the wheel. It'll tell me what to pick. And my plan was to work on 2 or 3 WIPs each week, and hopefully get myself through at least 6 months and touch every WIP. Well, getting involved in doing the smalls, and then having some weeks where I really didn't touch anything, or I was involved in working on something that I really enjoyed and I continued on, I have not met the goals that I really wanted to. And here we are at the end of June, and I really have not had my hands on very many WIPs. So moving forward, now last year in July, I did a Christmas in July, which was a present to myself. I started as many things as I wanted to start. And I've already said that I have a lot of Brenda Gervais pieces that I want to start for the month of July, and I'm going to do that. But I took my 10 WIPs from my my cross stitch book, my first 10 WIPs, and I am going to put 2 threads in each one of these 10 WIPs. Then I'm going to pick up the next 10 and then the next 10 and move that way, so that I literally work on every single WIP before I go back to using the picker wheel. I just feel better doing it that way, and I might find that moving forward I just might do that. I just might rotate myself through the every 10, and then I know I'm either touching the WIP or making a decision as to what I need to do with it. Do I want to UFO it? Do I want to maybe restart it? But I feel I need to do that, because even in going through my box of all my WIPs, it's not actually a box, it's actually a large doll cradle where I have them all in there. I don't even remember some of these, and shame on me, right? And I know we all do that. We love the new starts, and I know I'm going to have more new starts next month, and it's going to add on to my WIPs. But I want to work on these things because I love them. They're so pretty. Anyway, what I have done, and I've talked about this before, I have these cross stitch project logs and journals, and I did get them on Amazon. They're similar in their layout. They just give you, this information. And then there's a graph page over here. And to be very honest, I did try using this graph to rechart some things, and it's just too small. So I pulled my first book here. And a lot of these, I started this in January of 2022, or in 2022, I should say. And what I did was I just took everything I had, threw it on the table, and just started going through. So they're not in chronological order as to when I started them. They're just in, I'm going to put this in the book, and this is where it's at. So some of them I do know their start date, and some of them I don't. So I pulled the first 10, and I'm going to go through. I do have them numbered, and here's another problem that I ran into, and I really can't change this now. When I put them into the book, I assigned them a number, started with 1. But when I finish something, I can't restart with that number. I can't use number 1 again. So I will continue going through. I am up to number right now 66, but that doesn't mean I have 66 WIPs. It just means that my last 2 projects were the 65th project that I logged and the 66th project that I logged. So I have to keep reminding myself, you don't have 66 WIPs. Although it feels like it. So the first WIP that I'm going to talk about is Autumn Love. And this is a piece by Lori Holt. Now I started this in 2022. And it has been sitting here because this is the piece. Autumn Love by Lori Holt. Let me turn it a little like this so it doesn't look so cockeyed. It's sitting here because I don't like the house in the middle. And I keep saying I need to change it. I need to do something with it. So what do? I keep letting it sit here. I have a piece of hers that I did the outside, and I did the inside and I put a quilt around the outside. I quilted it. I made a quilted piece for the outside. But this, because I started on the outside, it's not really going to fit on here. I'm going to go this way. I started on the outside and left the middle because, again, I didn't really care for, I don't care for the middle. And I said, oh, I'll just do the whole outside and figure it out when I get there. So here I am. I'm working on the gray border. I have the bottom here and then the side to do that gray border. Okay. Now I love this. I think it's so cute because of all these little motifs. But I do not like this house. I don't want to stitch the word autumn. I don't like the squirrels. I'm not even a fan of the pumpkins. What my thoughts were was to change the color of the house to the color of my house, which is brown. I have an offset front door. I have 4 windows across the front of my house because that's my sunroom. I have 3 windows at the top, which on the second floor, which is my bedroom. And I thought about recharting and doing all of that, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do all of that work. So I think just to get this finished, I'm going to continue with the flowers in that border, but my house, I will change to brown. I will change the shutters to cranberry, which is what the shutter color is on my house. And my front door is also a dark brown wood. It's the original door to the house. I'm going to eliminate those squirrels. I do not like squirrels. I'm going to eliminate the pumpkins and possibly stitch in a couple of dogs. I do have you know what? I probably could even look through my stitch cards because I do have the Lori Holt stitch cards. Not all of them, but I do have some of them, and see if maybe she has a dog and a cat. I might do that. But instead of recharting that whole business, I can't do it. I just can't do it. But I want to get this done. So, as I said, my goal, each of these pieces that I pull out will get 2 strands. I'm going to, oops, I almost forgot my piece of thread here. I'm going to stitch in 2 threads and just go from there because I really, really, really want to get these pieces done. So that's my first WIP. You know, the other thing that I've been doing in here is cutting off the corners when I have finished a piece, so I know where my next WIP is. But I am just going to double check because no, I didn't. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. Okay. So my next WIP, and this I really feel badly. After my mother-in-law passed, I started this for my husband to give to him as a Christmas gift the year she passed. And I haven't finished it yet, and shame on me. I was going to turn it into a little ornament for him, and this is definitely going to get done this year because again, I feel horrible that it is not finished. And it is Cardinal Kin. It is by Plum Street. And I did get my kit or my pattern through 1, 2, 3 stitch. I'm just going to take it out of the bag so you can see it better. Cardinal Kin. And I just, I'm like, oh my gosh. I was working on it and I was doing very well, and then I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. So I am using the called for. There's some Weeks, there's some Classic Colorworks, and there is some DMC. I'm looking for my stitch card. I am stitching on 32 count Witched white chocolate, and I purchased the fabric from Hollis Hands Creates. I am stitching with 1 strand over 2 threads. So again, this is Cardinal Kin. And this is why I am saying I have to give these at least 2 threads. I do want to have this ready for him for Christmas this year. Shame on me. Shame on me. It's beautiful. I do like the fact that it has the 2 different color cardinals, the male and the female. And to me, that represents his mom and his dad. His dad passed a long time ago when he was young. And I just feel that this is long overdue, and it hurts my heart that I have done that I haven't finished this for him. So that is definitely going to be a 2 thread, and that will get done this year, fully finished this year as a Christmas gift for him, because he does deserve that. So what is my next one? I'm actually going to mark myself down here what my WIPs are. So number 3, number 9, number 11 is Maker and Mender, and that is a Brenda Gervais piece. And I did talk about this piece, that I did stitch on this piece at the Brenda Gervais retreat, just so that I could say I did it. My friend and I started this. I started it October 1st of 2023. I believe she has finished hers. I made a couple of big mistakes on mine, so I had to unpick and restitch. But I did get quite a bit of this done at the Brenda Gervais retreat. So here's my progress. I just love this. It is so pretty. If you have not stitched this, or it is not in your repertoire or your patterns, go get it. It's called The Maker and Mender by Brenda Gervais. And this is the piece. You know what I love about this piece? The blue. The blue that she uses. I am using all of the called for. The blue is Blue Corn and Mountain Mist. But these are the colors. So very pretty. And I am stitching this on 28 count Oak and Lugana by Picture This Plus. And I am just tickled silly that I was able to work on this a little bit at the Brenda Gervais retreat this past month. I love this. I don't know if I will professionally frame this. I'm going to see what it turns out to be size-wise, and see if I can find a frame. Years ago, back when I was stitching in the 80s, and maybe even early 90s, we had a cross-stitch shop here in Orchard Park, and it was in the village. And then it moved. It was in a white house. So if any of you are from this area and you remember this shop, I want to say it was called the Village Cross Stitch, but I'm not 100%. they were in a white house, and then they moved a little bit more into the village, and they also had the husband did the framing. And I do remember going in there, but I can't 100% remember if they had this there, but I do know Pleasures and Pastimes had them, where you could buy the pieces of the frames and make your own frames. Like you could buy an 8-inch piece, you know, like 2 8-inch pieces and 2 10-inch pieces, or 8-inch pieces and 11-inch pieces, and you can make your own frames. And I don't know if that's available anymore. I do know, oh, who was it? I can see her face and I can't think of her name right now. I think there is a website that you can order a frame made to size, but I'm always concerned with the color, to, you know, the shading of brown or whatever against my fabric. So if anybody knows if there is someplace like a local framer in the Western New York area that you can actually go in and buy pieces to make your own frame, please let me know. I would love that. I do know that there are some videos out there where they show you how to cut down frames, and I think I might even look into that too. But me and geometry and mitering, I have a hard time mitering my quilts, much less using a saw to miter a frame. Anyway, okay, so that is number 11. That is my third WIP. My next WIP would be, so 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So we got 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. 19. I'm just writing down my numbers so I know where I'm at. So my number 13 in my pile here is my fourth WIP. And this one I started after I finished Americana Red. I started Americana Blue, and I also have Americana White. I love this, and shame on me for not picking this up and working on it. This is Americana Blue. Sorry, I'm going to pull this out so you can see it better, by October House Fiber Arts. Now, I know I am watching, I think it's So Me Sarah. I think she's either working on Americana Blue or Americana White, but she's stitching it in red. Now, I'm doing the blues because I just, you know, I'm fine with that. And of course, I'm dropping threads here. Let me pop this up here for you. Again, it's just, oh my God, I love this. It's beautiful. Shame on me for not picking it up again. Move my thread out of the way so that's not distracting. But here I am with this piece. I have not worked on this in a while. I can't say shame on me enough. But let me tell you, I am using, this is Weeks Dye Works Blue Jeans. Look at that, it's pretty similar to the shade of my dining room. And I will tell you my fabric here in just a moment, because I have it in my cross stitch book, but I have not written it in the book. I have not put all of the information in there. And that is actually what I'm going to do when I get done filming. I am going to sit here and go through each one of these and make sure all of the information is listed in my booklet, because I can't say shame on me enough. So my card says I started this January 1st of 2025, and I finished it. I did the Americana Red when I was going through my cancer journey. And, you know, it's still hanging up there on the wall. I love it. But I started this in January of 2025. My radiation treatments finished in February of 2025. So this is on 36 count chocolate milk by Seraphim. I am using blue jeans by Weeks Dye Works, and I am stitching 1 strand over 2. My goal is to stitch 1 strand at least 5 days of the week. Well, Barb, we certainly didn't make that now, did we? But as I said, I am pulling out every one of my WIPs and giving them 2 strands. I'm going to work my way through everything. Oh, goodness. So that's Americana Blue, which, again, I absolutely love. My next WIP is Home Sweet Home by Primrose Cottage. And this is one of those, when I looked at that, I was like, what even is that? I'm not showing you my bags, even though most of these bags are bags that I have made. I do have my big, look at this. Look at how I have this in here. What is this even? What is this even? And I'm looking at this, and I don't have much more to go, I think. Shame on me. Let's count how many times Barb says shame on me. So I believe I purchased this kit through Primrose with all the fabrics and the threads. What a mess. What a mess. Here they all are. It's a mix of color and cotton, classic color works. The fabric is the blush, 32 counts Weigart blush. Here's my piece. This is almost done. Gosh, blessed Barb. That's okay. That's okay. Remember, 2 strands. 2 strands on every one of these 10 pieces. This really is almost done. Look at this. Oh my God. Here's the pattern. Okay, we're going to get there. Friends, we are going to get there. It's very cute. I know I made a couple mistakes in this, but psh, it's very cute. And I believe this might have been for Valentine's Day. It came out at that point in time. Hopefully it'll be done by next Valentine's Day. But I have everything in here. I do actually have a hoop. Now, I have said before, I don't generally stitch on hoop or using hoops. But I find that some of these loosey-goosey linens require it. I do have, and I'll pull this out just to show you because I did get these on Amazon. I don't want to show the pattern. So let me take the pattern off. I do have a Hobby House Needleworks needle minder. Again, I generally don't use needle minders because if I put a needle on a needle minder, I guarantee I'm going to lose it. So these I got on Amazon. I have a bunch of these. These little stand-up. Let's go here. And I have them downstairs in my quilt studio. I do have a couple of them buried in my patterns. This is really, I gotta fold this like this because this is just mangled. Mangled, I tell ya. 2 strands. 2 strands on every single WIP. Every single WIP is going to get 2 strands. My next WIP is Welcome All Hearts Home. This is by Plum Street. I started this one in April of 2025 when I went to retreat, Plum Street Retreat, which is why that was a start. I'm using 32 count paper bark by Fox and Rabbit. Hollis Hands Creates is where I purchased the fabric. This is the beautiful pattern. I thought about putting all the initials of my family in here, all of them, all of my kids, their spouses, and my grandchildren. But that's a decision for future Barb. Right now, current Barb needs to stitch on this. So I have all of the called for threads, which are Gentle Arts and some, are they all Gentle Arts? Yeah, it looks like they're all Gentle Arts threads. Aren't they beautiful? So let me show you my progress or lack thereof. I did work on it at retreat though. This I do not see a 2026 finish. But that doesn't mean it won't get some love, because it will. Say it with me. 2 strands on every WIP this year, Barb. There's my progress. Piddly progress. Piddly, I tell you. But it is going to be very pretty. Very, very pretty. I am stitching 1/2. I am very much a 1 strand stitcher. I used to, back in the day, unless it's 14 count 8, I will use 2 strands. But anything 16 count and over or 32 count and up, I will use 1 strand. That's just what I prefer. I like the look of, I guess you would call it the primitive look, where, you know, you can see a little bit of the fabric through. I'm okay with that. It does not bother me one bit. So my next WIP. Oh, goodness sakes. Why did I write this in hot pink? Girl, what are you thinking? Saltbox Quilt Sampler by With Thy Needle, Brenda Gervais. I did get my goodies from Hobby House. This is actually in one of the bags that I made, because I have made quite a few bags. I started this October 31st of 2024. I am stitching 1 strand over 2. 32 count Jackalope by Lappin' Loops. I did get that through Hollis Hands Creates. And the reason I decided to stitch this is because I saw it on Carol's Saltbox. And I said, I need to do that. Now, I know it came, if you look at the pattern, if there's a box for it. I do not think I can get this box, and I'm not even sure if the original is stitched on a 36 to fit, because I'm stitching on 32, which will make it a little bit bigger. Where's the info? Oh, it was stitched on 40 count. So I can tell you right then and there, if I find this box, I do not believe it'll fit. So I just wanted to stitch it because I just find it so beautiful. And of course, yes, I did make a mistake on it, and I had to fix that. So the threads themselves are DMC. There's some Weeks, there's some Gentle Arts, and there's some Classic Colorworks. Oh, some birds are chirping. We must have stopped with the rain a little bit. It has been raining this whole time. So, where am I? That's pitiful. Pitiful. This will not be a 2026 finish, I can tell you that. I'm just going to lay it this way because I do have my needle with my thread there. So this is where I am here, and I did make a mistake, and I had to rip out most of it. So, I just think this is so pretty. And this would be one of those great patterns to do with a fill-in. You know, it doesn't look like it's a time-consuming pattern, but when you look at the houses, that's a lot of fill-in. So, right now, and I probably could have left it, but I didn't want to. I looked at it, but it just didn't resonate with me. I am filling in, and it is difficult to see because of the color difference. I am filling in this area. So this would be a perfect 2-strand, or even if I sit down with this one night and say, just fill in that whole area. And then that'll be good. Now that I'm looking at that, you know, it's like, oh goodness, I probably could have used a 10th stitch on that, but why bother? Just do it the way it's intended. It's going to be beautiful when it's done. I love Brenda Gervais patterns. I was going to take that one with me to retreat, but I had taken enough. So that's that particular one. I only have 3 more that I'm going to show you. This one is called the Front Door Christmas Bow. This is a pattern by Debbie Mum. If you're a quilter, you know who she is. I made quite a few quilts of hers in the 80s and 90s. I have a few of her quilt books. This was in my mother's stash, and I found it after she passed. And a lot of my mother's things, I did keep cross stitch. My mother also was trying her hand at embroidery. I'm not a big embroidery fan. So I kind of let some of those go, but any of the yarn that she had, of course I kept that because yes, I do crochet. I'm actually taking apart one of the crochet Afghans that she made that was like in an oval shape, and I don't know what she did, but it never laid flat. So I'm taking it all apart and reusing the yarn and just making something that's, you know, a flat Afghan. So that, well, it's not even going to be enough for an Afghan. It might just be more like a lap throw. But I'm using that to, you know, I look at it like my mother worked on it, I'll work on it, and I'll just keep it. So this is from 1996, this pattern. And this is it. Hang on, let me put it on this because it's got a little bit of a fold in it. So this was a kit. And, you know, back in the 80s and 90s, that was primarily the stitching I did was from kits. I used to work at Pleasures and Pastimes. Oh my God, I was a teenager when I worked at Pleasures and Pastimes. So, of course, you know, kits. I really didn't learn or work with linens or things like that probably until the 90s. I primarily worked with kits. But anyway, this is it. I love Debbie Mum. I still love Debbie Mum. And I just chuckle every time I see this because I'm like, oh my God, I want to do this, but I don't want to do this. There's so much backstitching. So much backstitching. And my mother did start it, but I took it apart and restarted it. This is as far as I have gotten. I have planned that as, ow, it was a needle, sorry. As far as stitching, when I work in an area, I'm going to do the back stitching. I used to do the back stitching at the end, but this is where I am. I got a birdhouse. You can see there's a lot more to go. But you know what? This makes me happy. This really does make me happy. And I think I might turn this into my babysitting piece moving forward. After I finish the Colorado cross stitcher, I might turn this into my babysitting piece because I really, really would like to get this done. It's just so very cute. She always had such a cute way of doing things. And you know what's funny? I have seen a couple of stash unloads, you know, destash, where there was another, I think there's another style of this bow, and I almost bought it. And I said, don't do it. You have one now that you've been working on. When did I start this? Did I give myself a start date? I did not. Oh, wait, let me see if I put it on here. These are the instructions. I'm just looking to see if I actually did anything on here as to when I technically restarted it. Got the, I don't use floss bags, but I had them. I did buy the bags, and I have a bunch of them, and I just don't use them. But I decided, you know what, this is a perfect time to just pop them in here. And then all of the leftover floss from this kit will go into my stash that I use for those monthly smalls with the leftover pieces. So it's a win-win situation for me, I guess we could say. I do not have a date in here as to when I did start this. But you know what? I probably could even go back and look in my last year's 2025 or maybe even 2024 book of days. I might have even had it in there. So I think I'm going to do that just to have that. So that was a giggle. Okay. Next, I did finish that piece. Okay. Is Christmas Rules by Primrose Cottage. And there is a story behind this. I initially wanted to do this one, and then I purchased the wrong piece. I purchased the one from, again, I can see her name. I can't think of what it is. Oh my God. I'm just looking through my words here because I know that I had it in here and I said, oh, that was the wrong. Oh, My Christmas List. I initially purchased My Christmas List from Silver Creek Samplers, and that is not the one that I wanted. And I did start that one, and I started it twice, and then I just UFO'd it. I'm like, this is not the one that I wanted to do. So I literally have that pattern, and you know what I think I'll do? I'll do it next time. I think I'm going to give that away because I'm not going to stitch it. So this is Christmas Rules by Primrose Cottage. And I do believe, and I could very well be mistaken, that there was a different color version that Lori Holt put together. Please don't quote me on that because I could be very wrong. So this is the pattern. It's by Primrose. It is stitched, it is called for DMC weeks and some gentle arts, but there is a complete DMC conversion. Again, I have another one of these in the bag because why not? Oh my God. Where's my floss? Oh. Oh, Lord help me today. So here's my floss. The DMC, the Gentle Arts, and the weeks. So I am using the called for. Let me find where I'm stitching it. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Oh my gosh. This is pitiful, friends. This is pitiful. But again, like I said, I realized too late that I was stitching the wrong one. This isn't the one that I wanted. And then when I did start it, I was mad at myself. So here's my start. And this is, I did get the fabric from Primrose. It is 32 count Stormy Night Vintage Swigart Lugana. And I believe I am stitching one thread. Yep. Oh, somebody send help. Somebody send help with these whips. So I did cut my piece. I do have the spare piece in there. I am Oh my gosh. Please, somebody commiserate with me. But this is Christmas Rules by Primrose. It's so bright and cheery. I can tell you that I started it. Oh, hey, wait. I only started it this year, January 20th. Ah, I got time. I got time. It's okay. It's okay. Say it with me. 2 threads on each one of these WIPs. Before you move on, Barb, 2 threads. And they're all going to stay right there. And then my last WIP that I'm going to show you today, because I am well over an hour and I've only made it through 10 WIPs, is This is My Happy Place by the Scarlet House. I do not have a date in here as to when I started it. I don't have anything listed in here. And as I said, what I'm going to do when I get done here is put all of that information into my book here. And something else that I do want to do is when I am stitching this, I'm just going to mark in my book. See here, I have nothing listed other than the name and giving it a number. I'm going to start putting down the date that I work on it. I do that in my calendar. You know, like on Tuesday I wrote down Signpost Stitcher because that was my babysitting piece, but I don't have it in my actual log, and I think I'm going to start doing that so that I know when I did stitch it, that I can refer back to it easily. So again, this is called My Happy Place. Or, I'm sorry, this is My Happy Place, and it is by the Scarlet House. It calls for Weeks Dye Works threads, but there is a DMC conversion. The model is stitched on 40 count putty linen from Weeks Dye Works, but I'm stitching mine on 36 count putty. I'm using 36 count, not 40. I sourced my linen through 1, 2, 3 Stitch. I did start this November 15th of 2024. I have a note on here that I am stitching it with a hoop because it is very loose. A very loose linen. So I do have the called for threads. I do not have much of a start. And I know that when I did start, I was really just I don't want to use the word disappointed. That's incorrect. It was difficult to stitch in hand because of the looseness of the linen, but I'm going to be fine with this stitching it in a hoop. So I'm just going to pop my threads here so you can see how pretty they're going to look together. And there's my progress. Can we see all of that? We got some more rain. So this is where I'm going to stop with my WIP Parade because I have so many more. I could probably go for 3 hours, and I don't want to do that. I'm going to sit here today, and I'm going to make sure that I put all of the information back into my little journal, my little log. I think it's just going to be a lot easier for me. It's going to be able to show my progress a little bit better. I do want to mention for my plans that I do have my July starts. I'm going to do Christmas in July for myself again. I will have as many starts as I want. Most of them are going to be Brenda Gervais. I will have another 4th of July start, and that's going to be my July summer camp. I'm sticking to the chair. My July summer camp from Colorado Cross Stitcher. The prompt for July is patriotic colors. So wherever you happen to live, whatever your patriotic colors are. I would even go as far as saying maybe your state flag or the US flag or wherever it is. Patriotic colors. So I have 3 things in mind. I do, and I did post this on my Instagram page. When I went to the estate sale, one of the things that I did pick up was a prairie schooler. Well, I picked up more than one. And I have an idea with a prairie schooler for my 4th of July. I also picked up at our Stitchy Friends estate sale. Maybe instead of calling it an estate sale, even though it was promoted as that, we could call it a pare down sale. Right? I have 2 things here, and they're both smalls. So I don't know if I'm going to start these. I might. One of them is this little heart and hand kit. It says Liberty, Freedom, and Peace. Now, when I pulled the fabric out of this kit, it was, you can see it better on this side. Hopefully you can see it. Can you see the lines from it being folded? So that's one side of the linen. The other side doesn't appear to be as bad, but actually looking in the camera here. So I'm going to look at this to see where I need to start this so that I can hide those fold lines. And you know what? We find fold lines in fabrics too. I have so much fabric, and you know, from the 80s and 90s, actually from the 70s when I started sewing. Don't forget, I have been sewing for over 50 years. So I do have fabric that goes back to, okay, and just from being folded. Even though that this was in a kit, and I'm sure that it was not in the sun, it just happens. So I'm going to play around with that to see where I can lay that out. If I can't, I have fabric that I can use. Oh, and as a side note, if you have followed me on Instagram, I did post a picture where I took all of my Aida, my linen, and my Lugana and sorted it all down by type. So I have a box of Aida, I have Lugana, and I have linens. I have one full box just of 32 count linen, finding that that's my sweet spot. So go back in my Instagram, you'll see what I did. I used the boxes from Hobby Lobby. Like some of them have, hang on, let me just reach out a frame here. This is what I'm talking about. I used a box like this, and then I had some that have like the fold over top with the metal clasp or a magnetic clasp, but things like this. So of course that's still sitting there. So I did sort all of that down. So if I need to go and find a 32 count piece of linen, I got myself, right? The other kit that I picked up is this one. Now, the fabric, I don't think it did come with fabric, because what I pulled was 32 count fiber on a whim. Or maybe it came with it. No, I don't think so. No, it did not come with fabric because I went and cut myself a piece of 32 count fiber on a whim that I had in stash to stitch this on. Checking the flosses. The flosses came in a little package like this. So I do have 3 patriotic starts that I do want to do in July. One of them will definitely be for the July summer camp. I'm just not sure which one. But I'm really leaning toward the prairie schooler. Sorry, I just moved the camera. Lastly, I do have a purchase. I'm talking about fabric. Hang on. I just want to bring myself over here. I'm sorry. I bumped it and it moved. I have said before that I am a Kim Deal fanatic. Quilt fabric. I buy her fabric and I don't want to touch it. So I had to purchase flower pot prints. Look at these colors. Oh my God. I just love them. I love her fabrics. I love how her fabrics coordinate. And I can guarantee you that all of my Kim Deal fabrics, no matter the line, will work together. Like Lori Holt, right? Coriander quilts. Most of their fabrics will coordinate. But this is called Flower Pot Prints. I just got it yesterday. So I've just been petting it. I did just purchase a pattern from Lazy Daisy, my local shop, because my stitchy friend is stitching a Brenda Gervais piece. And I also saw the same piece. Somebody posted it in the Homespun Needlework group. It's a drum. And then there's this little tiny needle roll. I cannot think of what the name of the pattern is, but I will have it my next Flosstube because I'm going to go to Lazy Daisy and pick it up. Probably pick up a few more things when I'm there. What I like about it is I can order it online and she just holds it for me, which is great. Couple other things I want to show you as long as I'm continuing talking. Just a couple more things. My Ort ball is growing. I hate to say that some of the things in there are from mistakes and being unstitched. But I do enjoy doing my Ort ball. And lastly, something that I have been using lately to help me stay on task. Because you can see in my videos how I can be down different paths. I have the same problem when I'm stitching or when I'm cleaning or when I'm sewing. I get distracted very easily. Sometimes I just get overwhelmed with what I'm doing and I go down the rabbit hole where I don't know what to do next. So what I purchased, and I got this on Amazon and I've had it a few years. This is a cube timer. And what I can do is if I'm working on something and I find that I'm getting distracted or my attention is flitting someplace else, or I can't do this task anymore, I got to stop and do something else, I will say, I'm going to give myself 15 minutes, and I turn the timer over. And then down in this little area here, it's counting down. So I will set this, and I will walk away for 15 minutes or whatever, go do whatever I need to do, and then I can come back. So I have been finding that I'm able to focus a little bit better, especially if I need to clean something. Like if I have said, okay, you need to organize some stuff down here for 15 minutes. I set the timer. Sometimes I make more of a mess when I'm organizing. Like if I have a box of stuff and I say, I need to focus on this, I need to sort this through for 15 minutes. Next thing I know, I have a big mess. I have a bigger mess, I should say. So what I will do is say, okay, sort it for 15. When the 15 is up, put it away. Find where it needs to go. So that works for me. Other times I can hyperfixate on something that I'm sewing. And I will say, sew for 60 minutes and then take a 15-minute break. So I don't know if this might be helpful for you. I did find it on Amazon. It is a timer cube. It has helped me. And I'm not going to lie, there have been times that the timer has gone off and I just have ignored it and continued on what I was doing. Or I would say, you know what, I am really progressing at a pace that I'm enjoying. I'm not distracted. I'll set it for another 60 minutes. So it is just something that is working for me. Okay, listen, I have really taken up an hour and a half of your time. And if you've made it this far, thank you. Thank you so very much. I know I went over a lot of things. I will continue with a WIP Parade, but I'm going to do it in parts because for me, it works better. I'm not droning on. I'm not boring you, hopefully, and I'm not agitating myself because I see so many things that I want to touch that I haven't. So moving forward, my goal is to right now go through all of my WIPs that I just showed you, make sure all of the information is in my books, and try to actually go back and give myself dates that I've worked on. If I can't, then I'm going to, moving forward, mark in my logbook exactly when I work on it. Each one of these WIPs that I have shown you is going to get 2 strands stitched in it, and then I will move forward. So the next time I meet with you, I'm sure I'm going to have a couple more purchases. I will have 10 more WIPs to show you. I will have some more Flosstubers that I have watched. And I will probably have all of my new starts because it'll be July. I will definitely be showing you my new starts. I will probably come back after the 4th of July. So for those of you that are here in the US, happy 250th birthday. Let's put it that way. I hope you did get some stitching done, and if you didn't, that's okay, right? If you are going to take part in the Colorado Cross Stitcher July summer camp, go to her page. I'm going to put that information where you can, check her information for that. If you do go to her information for June, you'll see my piece. This was my June piece, like I told you. This is posted for a June piece, so I'm in the running for that. You don't have to fully finish. You just have to start and finish in the month. I just happened to fully finish it because I wanted to put it in the back haul. So thank you so much for being with me. Please feel free to email me at my email address. I'll have that there. Please comment, like, share my video, send your friends my way. I'm probably going to do a Christmas in July giveaway. I'm going to make myself a note here to make sure that I have that because I really would like to give away that Christmas pattern that I have. So, friends, thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you. Any comments, I love to respond to. If you have anything you'd like to share with me or fix any of my mistakes that I've said, please let me know. And again, if you know how to edit a video, send me some information, friends, because I am on the struggle bus. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for spending time with me. And guess what? We had no dog pauses today. They're sound asleep because it's raining. Nobody's walking by. Bye, friends.